I'm Susan Kellner, part of the Ontario Pesticide Education Program, and I'm going to provide an overview and introduction to the Grower Pesticide Safety Course. First, we'll take a look at how the course is set up. The one-day, full-day course for certification and recertification is set up such that you'll have a morning welcome, you'll go over product information and human and environmental health in the morning, and you'll have half of the open book test. In the afternoon, you'll have a break for lunch. In the afternoon, pesticide safety practices and pesticide application, and then the other half of the test. The Grower Pesticide Safety Course Manual is your textbook for this course. See the two covers here. The first cover at the top is a printed 2019 book, and the one at the bottom is a printed 2018 book. Both books are suitable for this course and have the information that you need for the test. To find out when it was printed, you flip it over and you'll see printed number on the back cover at the lower part of the cover. You may follow along in your manual as we go through this presentation if you like. A quick shout out to our sponsors. And let's talk a little bit about certification, which is in the preface of your manual. Certification of farmers in Canada. Certification of farmers is required in 7 provinces. It is still voluntary in 3 provinces. The provincial governments regulate the effective and safe use of pesticide application through education and certification, and over 22,000 farmers are certified in Ontario. Pesticide safety certification started in Ontario in 1986 with the first courses offered in 87 and legislation coming April 1st of 1991. So for certification for Ontario farmers, if you are a farmer and you want to buy and use class 2 or 3 pesticides in Ontario, must be a certified farmer. The certificate after the course and plus the other requirements will look like a credit card green certificate. Your signature's on there, expiry year and month, and certificate number plus your address. You can carry this with you in your wallet when you're applying pesticides to farms. Besides being successful completing the course, you must meet the definition of a farmer under Regulation 6309 and must be at least 16 years of age or older, and your certification is valid for 5 years. Who is a farmer under Regulation 6309? Please look in your preface for the definition. You are a farmer if you own or operate, that is, work on, an agricultural operation, and agricultural operations are defined as outlined there below. Note, you may also buy and use class 2 or 3 pesticides to manage the woodlot on a farm. Let's move to Chapter 1, how pesticides are regulated. Highlighting Table 1, the Ontario Pesticide Classification Criteria. You'll note that classes 1 to 12 exist in Ontario, and the classes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are the products you can actually go out and buy. And the 2, 3s, and 4s are the agricultural products would be in the classes 2, 3, and 4. Looking more closely on Table 2, we see for use by which farmers. So a certified farmer may buy and use a class 2 and 3. A supervised farmer assistant may use 2s and 3s but not buy. Products that are classed into 5, 6, or 7, anyone may buy without a certification or qualification, and you would use that according to the label and who's able to use the product accordingly. I'd like to give you notice of class 4 pesticides in Ontario. Any farmers that are not certified may buy and use class 4s. A farmer must prove at the time of sale that they are a farmer, and they can do that by providing a farm business number, or there's a farm self-declaration to enable purchase of a class 4 pesticide form that can be signed as well. Class 12 pesticides, the newest class of pesticides. These are the corn and soybean seeds that have been treated with imidacloprid, clofazimidine, or thiamethoxam, and a separate course half day is required for farmers to purchase and use these, and there's the website there if you're interested in that. So we know that classification is important for how you can use a product. So where can you find the Ontario classification? You can search for a pesticides class by Googling Ontario Pesticide Classification Database, and it will look like the picture that's here. Also, you can find the class number next to the pesticide name in the crop production books printed by the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, short form OMAFRA. And remember, the reason you need to know the class of a pesticide is so that you know who is qualified to buy and use the pesticide on your farm. Also to know how to maybe store the pesticides, because storage requirements relate back to the classification of the pesticide product. Also in the Chapter 1, we talk a little bit about who is a farmer assistant. So a farmer assistant, they may mix, load, and apply, so they cannot buy, but they're doing this under supervision of a certified farmer for the class 2 or 3 pesticides. Farmer assistants are trained in 2 ways. They can come to a grower pesticide safety course, participate in the day, they're not writing the test. Number 2, we have on-farm instructors. So a certified farmer can qualify to be an on-farm instructor and then teach a pesticide safety for farmer assistance course to them on farm, so you can actually do your own employees. So they get a yellow card, not a green credit card, but a yellow card, and always supervised at the time of application. Okay, let's move on to Chapter 2, Integrated Pest Management, and I'll highlight a few things for this chapter. So the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, OMAFRA, they have IPM specialists and crop specialists, and they also have an application technology specialist. That information is on Sprayers 101, the website, so you can Google that and get lots of information as well. So touch base with your commodity group and look for the expert in your crop for IPM from the OMAFRA group. Under the Integrated Pest Management chapter, there are 5 ways or methods to manage pests, and things that you're doing right now, but they can be slotted into these 5 different ways. So genetically, you're using maybe resistant varieties developed through plant breeding, so that would be a genetic method. And there's cultural methods, cleaning up plant debris, good health, fertilizing, planting certified seed, things that like this would fall under a cultural definition of managing pests. Biological, you might use lady beetles to naturally control aphids. That would be a living organism, a beneficial insect controlling pests. Physical, you could go in and cultivate to physically remove weeds or use netting to stop pests from getting into a crop like blueberries. And finally, pesticides is a chemical way of managing pests. I'd like to draw your attention to Ontario Crop IPM is a website that gives lots of great IPM information for the horticultural crops. OMAFRA has crop protection guides. Some of them are here, but they have them across many types of commodities. So check those out and make sure you have the most up-to-date copy of the OMAFRA crop protection guides. OMAFRA has blogs and newsletters, and you can sign up for notification on new information that's posted. So Field Crop News is one, On Vegetables is another, and here's the Sprayers 101, a website to go to. So make sure you start to subscribe to some of the blogs that are available. So let's move on to the pesticide label chapter, chapter 3. And by the way, there is a sample example label in there. Matador is on the blue pages in that section of your book, and you can do the practice quiz, and that'll prepare you for the quiz for the label on the test. Read the label. The label tells you how to use how the product safely, how to use the product legally, what to do if there's an accident. So all the pesticide labels are available online through the PMRA. Health Canada's got a website. So to find that website, just go into Pesticide Labels Health Canada, and you can go through and search and pull up any PDF file of any label. And this is also available as an app, so you can use it that way as well. There are certain headings. All pesticide labels have to contain certain information. You'll find directions for use, the required personal protective equipment, restricted entry intervals, pre-harvest intervals, spray drift buffer zones, vegetative filter strips. There'll be other precautionary statements. There'll be steps you can take in case of an accident, and also guidance on disposal. For pre-harvest intervals, so this is the length of time that must pass before you can harvest from the time of application. So an example here is Scala SC fungicide, and it's on palm fruits. So here we have a PHI of 14 days for apple, but it's a PHI of 72 days for pear. So do take a look and read into the product label to find out what those post-harvest intervals are. I'd also like to draw your attention into the label section under the Restricted Entry Intervals, or REIs. It's a period of time that agricultural workers or anyone else must not do hand labor in treated areas after you've applied that pesticide. It's to give the time for the pesticide residues to break down to safe levels before work can be done. So an example, you have the pesticide application. The REI will start after the application ends. You can post a sign if you'd like to notify people that a pesticide application has taken place, and you can also even write on there when the reentry time might be. So the REI has ended, then it is safe to enter the treated area for hand labor. If you'd like some of those signs, as noted in the book, call our program line and you can buy some of those signs from us. Here are the examples. There's three pesticides here. Matador has a restricted entry interval of 24 for all crops. Sometimes it'll vary per crop, so you can see there's some differences here. Scala, for example, is 12 hours except for, and then it would have palm fruits and bulbs, 24 hours for hand thinning. Grapes, it'll be 24 hours for tasks listed on the label dealing with grapes. So you do have to read in, it can be different for different crops. Please note, as up in the corner there, if the REI is not stated on the label, then please use the 12-hour REI. Early entry. Restricted entry interval. Certified farmers, farmer assistants, or workers may need to enter a treated area early before that restricted entry interval is over to do some tasks, but still not doing the hand labor tasks. So for example, 0 to 4 hours, do not enter. No one can enter during that period of time. However, at 4 hours, there can be early entry by a certified farmer following the conditions outlined here. And then also the 12 to 24 hours, then early entry could be by workers, again following those requirements there. And then of course after the 24 hours, and this is just an example of a 24-hour REI, anyone may enter after that. So spray drift buffer zones are on labels. These are areas left untreated to protect adjacent sensitive areas, right? The distance between the point of direct application of a pesticide and the closest downwind edge of an area that's sensitive. For soil fumigation, it is the area around the perimeter of each application block. Terms to note: sensitive terrestrial habitat, land habitats, so that could be a woodlot, a windbreak, hedgerow. Sensitive freshwater habitats, that could be on the label: lakes, river, ponds, creeks, marshes, streams, reservoirs, and wetlands. Here's an example: Simazine 480 herbicide. The method of application, it's a field sprayer. Now the crops are divided there, so there'll be different well, look at the terrestrial habitat there. For fruit trees, it's 5 meters. For corn, it's 10 meters. So there'll be a chart like this on labels. If you're putting together two products in a tank mix, you have to observe the largest, most restrictive buffer zone of the tank mix products. New for 2019, and this won't be noted in your 2018 manual, but be aware that vegetative filter strip requirements are on certain pesticides now. It's an area of permanent vegetation, at least 10 meters wide, maintained along the downhill slopes beside aquatic habitats for you to use that product. So on the next page, we'll go over an example of a spray drift buffer zone and a vegetative filter strip. In this example, there is an east wind. You can see there's a aquatic freshwater habitat on the right side of the picture, and on the left side there's an aquatic freshwater habitat as well. So on the downward slope, there's a vegetative filter strip, a permanent 10-meter segment alongside that. Since the other side is sloped away from the water, then no vegetative strip is required there. But with the wind direction, 15-meter spray drift buffer zone was required on the label, and so there's a buffer zone because the aquatic freshwater habitat on the left side is a sensitive area. Managing pesticide resistance. Let's go on to Chapter 6. We know that herbicide resistance is now with Canada Fleabane, and it's now across Ontario. It was first confirmed in Essex County in 2010, and in addition, many counties in Ontario have Canada Fleabane as a biotype with multiple resistance. So notice the biotype is resistant to both Group 9 and Group 2 herbicides, and you can see that with the yellow coloring. Here's another example, glyphosate-resistant water hemp, first discovered in 2014, and now you can see the number of counties that it's in 2019. On to Chapter 8, Health Risks of Pesticide Use. Reminder of risk equals toxicity times exposure. Toxicity is the product and how poisonous that pesticide is. Your amount of exposure to that will increase your risk. If your exposure is 0, you won't have any risk, but that will control your risk. Let's move on to protective clothing and personal protective equipment. That's the way to reduce exposure, and we go to Chapter 11 for that. Please note the information regarding the 3 types of air purifying respirators: particulate respirators, chemical cartridge respirator, half or full mask, and gas mask with a canister. I'll mention here that particulate respirators, that is the dust mask that you might be familiar with, but they are particulate respirators, so they have particulate ratings, an N, an R, and P, a 95, 99, and 100. So look those up, and also look for the approval numbers to get an approved particulate respirator. Chemical cartridge respirators, again, protects from organic vapors. They have approval numbers. Please review those. And then the gas masks as well. Chapter 16, Pesticide Spills. Review what you should do in an emergency. Always report a spill that's getting away from you. That's certainly outside of a pesticide storage building. So something that you need to report is the Spills Action Center, 1-800-268-6060, and it's open 24 hours for reporting. You're responsible for cleaning up spills, and the owner person in control of that spill must then perhaps compensate parties involved. Drift of pesticides, Chapter 18. The spray nozzle classification by droplet size. Droplet size really controls the amount of drift that happens. If you have a coarse, very coarse, extremely coarse, ultra coarse nozzle, then your droplet size will be larger, and you should have fewer driftable fines. They call them the fine droplets. So labels will now list the spray nozzle classification you must use for a product, so check that out. This slide shows the top 2, a nozzle type being used, and then the bottom, a different nozzle type with a drift reduction nozzle type. So you can see that you can, with changing nozzles, reduce the drift significantly. Finally, picture yourself. You're coming into your farm as a customer. What would you change, if anything, regarding your pesticide program in order to feel comfortable having the customer see your operation? It's a question to think about when looking at your pesticide safety farming practices. We welcome you to the course, and if you're renewing this year, to renewing, and if you have any questions, you can phone or mail us. I'm Susan Kellner. Our program line is 1-800-652-8573, and our email is rcopep at uoguelph.ca. Thanks.